The King's Omen, a hero's broken return. You know, we're about to dive into this incredible story from a classic Sanskrit text. It's really a tale of cosmic dread, but also of a deeply personal loss. We're talking about a king who has to watch as the very soul of his world just vanishes.
So, I want you to imagine something. You're a powerful king. You're at the absolute height of your glory. But then, you start seeing these signs. Signs that everything is wrong. I mean, the world itself feels like it's falling apart. So what's going on? Is this just a string of really terrible coincidences? Or could all these dark omens be pointing to one single unthinkable tragedy?
All right, so our story really kicks off with the journey. But it's what comes next, this long, worrying silence that changes everything. It stretches out and just twists what should have been a simple mission into this source of deep dread.
Okay, so here's the setup. You've got King Yudhiṣṭhira. He's basically the ruler of the world. And he sends his brother, the legendary warrior Arjuna, you know him, on a mission to the great city of Dvārakā. The mission? It's pretty simple, really. Go visit their family, see how everyone's doing, and most importantly, check in on their dearest friend and guide, Lord Kṛṣṇa.
But what should have been a simple visit starts to turn into a real mystery. First, 1 month goes by. Okay, then 2, then 6, and now 7. 7 long months have passed, and there has been absolutely no word from Arjuna. This is the king's most trusted warrior, and nothing.
And as this silence just keeps stretching on, the king starts to see things, really terrible, disturbing things. What started out as a personal worry, where's my brother? It starts to escalate into this much bigger fear. A fear that the world itself has come completely unhinged.
And let me be clear, the king wasn't just imagining this stuff. No way. It's like the very fabric of reality was unraveling right before his eyes. It was as if some central thread, the one thing holding everything together, had just been snapped.
So where does he see it first? In people. He sees this rising tide of greed and anger and just plain old dishonesty. Friendships that were once pure are now all about cunning and what you can get from someone. And even the most sacred bonds, parents and children, husbands and wives, they're just fracturing, breaking apart with conflict.
Then he looks outside at the world around him, and it's like nature itself is in open revolt. The seasons are all mixed up. The earth is trembling for no reason at all. Rivers and lakes are churning. And then the truly horrifying part. The clouds start raining not water, but blood. Can you even imagine?
And it's not just the elements. The animals are in distress too. Cows are literally weeping, with tears streaming down their faces. Their calves won't drink milk. The idols in the temple seem to be sweating and trembling. And maybe the most unsettling sign of all, the king's own dogs start barking at him without any fear. That's a profound sign of disrespect from the natural order.
So seeing all of this, the breakdown of society, nature in chaos, the animals in fear, the king moves past just observing. He starts asking a terrifying question. Why? What is causing all of this? And that's when he starts connecting the dots between his brother's long silence from Dvārakā and the chaos that's swallowing his entire world.
And then it hits him. He remembers a prophecy, and he starts to wonder, maybe these aren't random events at all. What if? What if they're all signs? Signs that the divine being who walked among them, Lord Kṛṣṇa himself, is getting ready to leave this world.
See, you have to understand, for Yudhiṣṭhira and his brothers, Krishna wasn't just a friend or some powerful ally. No, he was the source of everything. Their victories, their kingdom, their wealth, their very reason for being. His presence was the single reason for all of their good fortune.
And this leads the king to an absolutely devastating conclusion. The world itself is mourning. All of its beauty, all of its prosperity, it was all tied directly to Krishna being here. And without him, the earth is just becoming a shadow of what it once was, an empty, unlucky, broken place.
So just as the king is lost in these awful, dreadful thoughts, it happens. The moment he's been waiting for 7 long months, finally arrives. But it is not the reunion he was hoping for, not even close.
Even with all his fear, the king is still clinging to this tiny sliver of hope. He's picturing his relatives back in Dvārakā, and in his mind, they're happy, they're safe, they're living in total bliss under Krishna's protection. It's this perfect, joyful image.
And right in that very moment, as he's lost in that hopeful thought, the silence is broken. Arjuna has returned.
But this is not the triumphant hero who left all those months ago. This is a broken man. His head is bowed low. His face, which usually shines, has lost all its light. Tears are just streaming down his cheeks. He can't even speak. He just falls at his brother's feet, completely overcome by a grief so powerful it has stolen his voice.
Okay, so when King Yudhiṣṭhira sees his brother like this, his heart is just filled with terror, and he just unleashes this avalanche of questions, absolutely desperate to understand what in the world could have possibly broken the greatest warrior alive.
He starts broad, with the most general fear. He asks about everyone, all their family and friends in Dvārakā. Are they okay? Are our people safe and well? Tell me they're okay. And then his questions start to narrow in on the one that matters most. And what about Krishna? Is he well? Is he happy in the great assembly hall, surrounded by his friends? I mean, he's the friend of the righteous, the beloved of his devotees. Surely nothing could have happened to him, right?
But Arjuna is still silent. So Yudhiṣṭhira changes tactics. He focuses on his brother's own state. My brother, why do you look so broken? What happened to you? Were you disrespected? Did you lose a battle? Did you fail to protect someone who came to you for help? He's just trying to find any explanation, anything that makes sense of this devastating grief.
And then, finally, as all the other possibilities just fall away, the king asks the one question he's been dreading most of all. He looks at his broken brother and he says, "Or is it something else? Are you feeling this great emptiness because you are now bereft of your dearest friend, your very heart?" And in that single question hangs the unspoken, terrible truth.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are stepping away from the battlefield and into a really strange kind of silence. It's that moment right after a huge victory, but it's filled with this sense of dread.
It really is. It's this chilling stillness. The sources you sent over put us right inside the mind of King Yudhiṣṭhira.
And his mind is completely consumed by one thing. His brother, the great hero Arjuna, has been gone for a very, very long time.
And that's where we start. In Canto 1, Chapter 14, the text is so precise here. Arjuna, he's called Jishnu, Kapathaja, he was sent to Dvārakā.
Right, and the official story was Bandhu Dakaya, he was going to visit relatives.
Exactly, just a family visit. But the real reason, the urgent part, was to find out the Yudhiṣṭhira, the activities, specifically the activities of Krishna.
And this is where the time element becomes so crucial. The text says, Gatatatalamasa, 7 months. I mean, that's just an agonizingly long time for your key messenger to be out of touch, especially when you're trying to hold a kingdom together after a war. For Yudhiṣṭhira, that silence is an answer in itself.
It's the first omen. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. How do we get from that gnawing anxiety to confirmed terror? We're going to track the specific nimittani, the omens that Yudhiṣṭhira observed.
And see how they prepared him for what he thinks is coming. It's like watching a world come apart at the seams, one sign at a time.
So let's jump in with these Gorobian nimittani, the terrible omens. This isn't just a bad feeling he has. He's literally watching the universe break down.
Where does it start? What's the first crack he sees?
It starts with time itself. He sees the Kalasya Chakati Raudra, the fierce, almost Rudra-like movement of time.
What does that mean exactly? Time is moving like a destructive god.
Kind of. I mean, think about it. Time is supposed to be predictable. It gives a season's rhythm. But he sees the Viparyas to the Harme. The order of the seasons is inverted.
The natural clock is broken.
Completely broken. And if that fundamental cosmic law, the Ritu Dharma, is failing, then what hope is there for human laws, for morality?
And sure enough, that's where he looks next. The text gives these really vivid details about how people start behaving. It's not just people are bad now, it's specific.
It's a specific kind of poison. Human dealings, it says, become papiyasum, just wicked. And the primary motivators change. It's no longer about duty. It's about krodha, anger.
Love, greed.
And untruth. Those three things start to govern everything, and you see it tear apart the most basic relationships.
So that part I found really unsettling. It's not about politics or armies, it's about family. Why is the breakdown between, parents and kids or husbands and wives such an apocalyptic sign for him?
Because that's the foundation of any stable society. The text uses these great words, jigmaprayam, crooked behavior, and shyamishram, behavior mixed with deceit.
And it's happening everywhere, between friends, siblings, spouses.
Yes. Between pitamata krudampatina. If you can't trust your own family, if those bonds are now based on deceit, the whole social project is doomed. For a king like Yudhiṣṭhira, who is all about dharma, this is the end. It's an internal rot that no army can fight.
Okay, so that sets the stage. The moral universe is collapsing. And that makes him look closer, right? At the physical world, he starts categorizing these atiriyani, the most dreadful signs.
He breaks them into three areas: divine signs, earthly signs, and signs on his own body.
Let's start with that last one, the daihika, the personal omens. That feels so immediate.
It's incredible, isn't it? It grounds this huge cosmic fear right in his own flesh. He's not just thinking something is wrong, his body is screaming it at him. He says his flanks, his eyes, his arms, the irregular bhavo, are twitching again and again, puna, puna.
And his heart.
And this constant tremor in his heart, the vepatushipi hode. You have to understand, for him, this isn't a medical issue. This is a direct message. His body is a receiver for the coming disaster.
And the world outside his body starts to mirror that internal chaos. What about the Bhāma, the earthly omens? Some of these are so strange and specific.
They're heartbreaking, really, because they're all about the violation of what should be safe and normal. Take the dog, the Sarameoyam. It barks at him, Abravodiam, without fear.
A dog shouldn't do that to a king.
Never. It's a total breakdown of hierarchy. The lower order no longer respects the higher. Then you get the domestic animals. The cows, the gava, have ashramako, tearful faces.
The cows are weeping. That's a powerful image.
It is. The cow is the symbol of life, of nourishment. When the cow weeps and when her calf refuses to drink, it's like life itself is losing the will to go on. And just outside you have the predators, the owls, longing for shunyam, for emptiness.
So the domestic world is grieving, and the wild world is waiting for it to die.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And if the earth is in turmoil, the heavens are even worse. The divya signs, the celestial ones, are straight out of an apocalypse. You're talking about blood raining from the sky.
Literally. The clouds are raining blood. The wind is described as karasparsho, harsh to the touch, and it's kicking up dust and darkness. Even the sun.
The sun is losing its light.
It's hataprabha, robbed of its brilliance. The whole sky looks like it's on fire because the planets themselves are at war.
But the one that really got me was the fire, the ritual fire. It won't light, even with ghee. What is the significance of that?
That is the point of no return. Fire, Agni, is the messenger. It's how you communicate with the heavens, how you make offerings. When the fire, no jvati agirajena, when it refuses the most sacred offering.
The gods aren't listening anymore.
The line is dead. The connection between heaven and earth has been cut. So you have a total system failure. The cosmos, the earth, his body, and now the sacred rites, everything has failed at once.
So Yudhiṣṭhira sees all of this, the twitching, the crying cows, the dying sun, the dead fire, and he connects the dots. This can only mean one thing.
One thing. He says, Sakalyam upasita, the appointed time is here. This must be the moment that the Lord, the Krishna, has decided to leave his earthly body.
And that's the fear behind all the other fears.
That's everything, because Yudhiṣṭhira is smart enough to know that their victory, their kingdom, their lives, everything, it all existed yet anugraha, by Krishna's grace. If that grace is withdrawn, the entire structure collapses.
And right at that moment when his dread is at its absolute peak, Arjuna returns. The timing is just incredible.
Perfect dramatic tension. But the sight of Arjuna, it just confirms everything.
He doesn't look like a hero returning.
Not at all. He looks aturam afflicted. Ayata purvam, completely unlike himself. He's silent, his head is bowed, atumbanamam. And the text says tears are flowing from his nayanam bujayo, his lotus eyes.
To see that on Arjuna's face.
For Yudhiṣṭhira, it's devastating. His heart becomes udvinyadayo, profoundly distressed.
And this leads to this frantic series of questions. But what's interesting is he doesn't just ask what happened to Krishna. He starts with this huge welfare check of the entire Yadava clan.
He's almost afraid to ask the real question. So he checks a whole infrastructure first. He asks about the Madhus, the Bhojas, the Sattvatas. He asks about the elders like Grandfather Shura and the matriarchs, Devaki, and the 7 sisters.
And the warriors.
Right, the next generation. Balarama, Pradyumna, Samba, even the advisors like Uddhava. He's mapping out the entire family tree, hoping for a sign of good news somewhere.
And when he finally gets to the main question, you can feel the weight of the world in it.
Oh, absolutely. He asks, is Lord Govinda, is he resting happily in the Sudharma assembly hall? And that location is so important. Sudharma is the seat of righteousness. If Krishna is there, the world is still in balance.
He literally says Krishna's presence is for the auspiciousness and welfare of all the worlds.
The Mogalaya, Kamaya, and Bhavaya, his existence is what guarantees their existence.
But then there's this really sharp turn. Yudhiṣṭhira looks at Arjuna's state. He says, Beti Javabasime, you look like your brilliance has been stripped away. And he starts to suspect a personal failure.
It's a fascinating psychological turn, isn't it? The catastrophe is so immense, his mind scrambles for a smaller, human-scale reason. Maybe Arjuna did something wrong.
He can't accept that the cause is cosmic, so he looks for a human cause.
Exactly. So he starts running down this checklist of the heroic code, the Kshatriya code. Every possible way a hero could fail.
And what's on that list? It's like a warrior's moral inventory.
It is. First, honor. Alabhavanavajata, were you insulted, disrespected? Second, truthfulness. Did you break a promise? Did you fail to give what you swore you would give?
And then the big one, the duty to protect.
The absolute core of it all. The duty to be Sharanjapla, a giver of refuge. He asks, did you fail to protect the Brahmin, the child, the cow, the old, the sick, or the woman?
He lists them all.
He lists every category of the vulnerable. Because to fail them would be a spiritual crime so great, it would absolutely drain a hero of his tehas, his inner light. It would explain why Arjuna looks so broken.
He's hoping the answer is yes, in a way. He's hoping for a human error because the alternative is...
The alternative is unthinkable, that the divine has simply gone. But in the end, he gets there. He looks at his brother's grief and realizes no personal mistake could cause this much pain.
It has to be the absence of their soul friend.
Their Hugdyanatma Bandhuna, their heart friend. He finally says it out loud. Shinuzmi Rihito Nichya. You feel this permanent emptiness because you are deprived of him. There can be no other reason for this sorrow.
So what we've really traced in this deep dive is this incredible arc. We started with cosmic chaos, planets at war, seasons in reverse, and we ended with this incredibly intimate, painful, human questioning.
The entire universe becomes a mirror for Yudhiṣṭhira's personal anxiety. It shows just how completely their world, both politically and spiritually, depended on this one divine presence. When that's gone, everything unravels, from the stars in the sky to the tears on a hero's face.
And the most powerful omen of all ends up being Arjuna's silence. The great orator, the great warrior, is just mute.
His silence says more than any words could. It confirms that the age has turned.
And that leaves us, and you, with this final desperate question that Yudhiṣṭhira asks. He asks if Arjuna was defeated. Parajita Vata Bhavan, defeated on the road by enemies superior or even equal to him. Now think about that. After seeing the sun die and blood rain from the sky, why is his last, most desperate fear that Arjuna lost a fight?
It's a profound question. What does that tell us about the human mind? About our need to frame even the greatest cosmic tragedies in terms we understand, like battle, victory, and defeat. Perhaps it's easier to imagine the world's greatest hero being beaten by another warrior than to accept that the world itself is simply ended. That's a thought to sit with.